Okay, so once again, the Biden administration has bypassed Congress and said, screw you to the people, in other words, me and you, and intends to sell Israel a whole lot more tank shells, fuses for those tank shells, and all kinds of other artillery and weapons of war to help Israel in its fight with Hamas. However, the reason I kind of oppose that is y'all probably well know, I oppose war vehemently. I do not like it whatsoever. I do not think that a person's life is worth anything that you could come up with, right? There's no good reason, in other words, to kill somebody over anything. Even serial killers, people that go and murder other people. I don't really feel that it's the state's job to execute those people. Yes, I oppose the death penalty. However, looking at some of that stuff, sure, those people do deserve to die. But it comes down to who serves that justice, right? Like, who has the right to actually take that life? That's why I'm so opposed to abortion, which is coming up on the ballot. It seems to be here to stay. It's one of those things like this woke ideology. It just doesn't seem to be going away. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We counter the mainstream narrative machine's narrative. We try to input some truth into a very chaotic world. We do get things wrong, but if you want to keep up with what the government is doing, smash that subscribe button for me and turn on your notifications. And if you could, as always, punch that like button. If you don't mind, it would be a big help to the channel. But enough of my ranting. Let's go ahead and get into some news. We got some interesting crap here. So, as we all know, Colorado decided to take Donald Trump off the ballot. They made this decision, they put it out there publicly, but forgot to tell people that they stayed that decision until January, until the Supreme Court can look at it. Why would they do that? Kind of curious, right? Then, next thing you know, Maine does the same thing. The Secretary of State says Donald Trump can't be on the ballot. We've got to uphold democracy by not allowing a democratic process to play out. It's all a bunch of BS, if you ask me. That decision is also stayed until the Supreme Court can look at it. It makes you wonder, why are these people doing this? Why are they making this decision and then putting it on hold? And then just not telling people it's put on hold. Oh, we took Trump off the ballot. Are they really trying to just deceive everybody to make you think that Trump's not going to be on the ballot? These people are desperate. They are going to extreme measures to win an election, and they are actually undermining our democracy, our democratic processes, to achieve their goal of not allowing Trump back on the ballot. Even Biden said it. We're going to demonstrate that Trump will not be allowed to take power again. They are scared of Donald Trump. They keep on putting out all these false narratives. Oh, well, Donald Trump's going to be a dictator, and if we vote Donald Trump again, it's going to be the last election ever. Well, what exactly do you mean by the last election ever? Do you really think the deep state, the administrative state, is just going to go along with whatever Donald Trump says? No, they oppose Donald Trump. There's proof of that throughout his administration. One example being, he wanted to pull all the troops out of Syria. The generals said, okay, but hang on. We'll do that, but hang on. And then they just didn't do it. That's treason. Then they got in a big uproar when Donald Trump says, people used to get executed for treason. And they got mad at him for that. Well, it's just the truth. People used to get executed for treason. What the hell? But let's get into it, y'all. Maine Secretary of State who opted to keep Trump off primary ballot is facing threat of impeachment. So finally, we are starting to see some of the Republicans stand up and use their backbone to fight back against this obvious BS. It's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors to make people not want to vote for Trump. They're not actually going to keep him off the ballot. There's no legal standing for it. And we will see that when the Supreme Court looks at all this stuff. Maine's top election official could face an impeachment attempt in the state legislature over her decision to keep former President Donald Trump off the Republican primary ballot. That's right. At least one Republican lawmaker has vowed to pursue impeachment against Democratic Secretary of State Sheena Bellows, despite long odds in the Democratic-controlled legislature. Yeah, good luck, but at least some of these people are standing up and saying, no, this is BS. Bellows said Friday that she had no comment on the impeachment effort, but said she was duty-bound by state law to make a determination on 3 challenges brought by registered Maine voters. She reiterated that she suspended her decision pending an anticipated appeal by Trump in Superior Court. Exactly. She knows they're going to appeal this. But she wants to virtue signal saying, oh, we're fighting Trump. Yeah, but you can't really do that, can you? And they know this. That's why they stayed their decision. Under Maine law, I have not only the authority, but the obligation to act, she said. I will follow the Constitution and the rule of law as directed by the courts, she added. Since when did the Constitution and the rule of law order and obligate you to undermine democracy, to pick and choose who the voters can and cannot vote for? Where in the Constitution does it say that you have the right to pull this person off of a presidential ballot? Where does it say that in the Constitution? I would love to know, because the 14th Amendment that they're trying to use doesn't say that. Bellows' decision Thursday followed a ruling earlier this month by the Colorado Supreme Court that removed Trump from the ballot under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. That decision is on hold until the U.S. Supreme Court decides whether Trump violated the Civil War-era provisions prohibiting those who engaged in insurrection from holding office, right? Well, technically, Trump hasn't been charged with insurrection. Not being charged with insurrection means he has not committed insurrection. Trust me, if he would have, the guy would be in jail. But everybody knows he didn't. He told all those people that stormed the Capitol to be peaceful. He can't help it if these idiots just said screw it and start attacking police. You can't be in control of an uncontrollable mob of people. Otherwise, we would have several Democratic representatives be held accountable for the Summer of Love, all the riots, all the BLM riots of 2020. Yeah, there were Democratic congressmen. The vice president was bonding some of these people out of jail. I'm just saying. In 150 years, no candidate was kept off a ballot for engaging in an insurrection. It's now happened twice to Donald Trump in the last 2 weeks. There will be a major pressure on the Supreme Court to offer clarity very soon, said Derek Muller, a Notre Dame Law School professor and election law scholar. In Maine, State Rep. John Andrews, who sits on the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee, called the decision hyperpartisanship on full display as he pressed for an impeachment proceeding. He said he sent a notice to the state's revisor's office for a joint order to set the wheels in motion ahead of lawmakers' return to Augusta next week. There is bipartisan opposition to the extreme decision made by the Secretary of State. She has clearly overstepped her authority. It remains to be seen if her effort at voter suppression will garner enough Democratic support to remove her from her position, said House Republican leader Billy Bob Falkenham. What a damn name for a politician, huh? That's a damn redneck name if I've ever heard one. Billy Bob Falkenham. What? What did you just say? Billy Bob. Thank you, though, Billy Bob, for standing up to the machine, standing up to these people who think they are fighting for the people, but are actually undermining our democracy by taking Donald Trump off of the ballot. This is a bunch of BS. We all know it. However, I would say to anybody and everybody, how about you stop with all these threats to these people, huh? Yeah, all these people are receiving all kinds of different threats. How about we stop with that, right? You're not going to gain anything from threatening these people. Just because they take Donald Trump off the ballot doesn't mean you sending a baseless threat is going to do anything. So why even do it? Why waste your time on threatening these people? Go into lawfare mode and do it the legal way. That's all I'm going to say on that. I think it's a bunch of stupid shit. These people, whoever are threatening these Supreme Court justices who made that decision in Colorado, and this lady, Mrs. Bellows, I do apologize for those people. The decision exposes Bellows to hate and vitriol on social media, along with her post showing support, and her office said Bellows and members of her staff were subjected to threats, something she called unacceptable. I would have to agree with that. However, knowing the landscape of social media, it's social media. It's not a physical threat. These people are not in person threatening you. So, what are you crying about? Suck it up. My obligation is to the Constitution and the rule of law. It's the Constitution and the rule of law that make our democratic republic so great. So why the hell is she trying to undermine it? Trying to turn it into a banana republic? Why are these people violating their own moral standards just to gain more power? Oh, I guess I answered that question, didn't I? No one should be threatened for doing their job, she said Friday evening. You're right, no one should be threatened for doing their job. However, when you overreach, when you overstep your bounds, and you undermine the people that you have power over, those people will revolt. I don't blame those people for threatening her. However, I would suggest that it's not a very good idea to do so. I hope those people who are engaging in angry and threatening communications consider the impact of their words and actions, she added. Among Maine's congressional delegation, only Democratic U.S. Rep. Shelley Pingree, who represents the liberal 1st Congressional District, supported Bellows' conclusion that Trump incited an insurrection, justifying his removal from the March 5th primary ballot. Wow, only one. U.S. Senator Angus King, an independent who caucuses with Democrats, said Friday that absent a final judicial determination on the issue of insurrection, the decision on whether Trump should be considered for president should rest with the people as expressed in free and fair elections. I agree with this man. U.S. Rep. Jared Golden, a Democrat representing the 2nd Congressional District, agreed that until Trump is found guilty of the crime of insurrection, he should be allowed on the ballot. Totally agree. U.S. Senator Susan Collins, who is insane. I've seen a lot of her in Senate hearings, and a lot of those hearings. She is quite an insane Democrat, I guess you could say. Has some very, very throwed-off views on the world. I'm not going to get into all that, but this is an insane Democrat. U.S. Senator Susan Collins, the state's senior senator, was one of a handful of Republicans to vote to convict Trump during his second impeachment trial, and she criticized him in a floor speech for failing to obey his oath to office. But she nonetheless disagreed with Bellows' decision. Maine voters should decide who wins the election, not a Secretary of State chosen by the legislature, she said. Wow. Somebody that hates Trump so much that they would vote on a BS impeachment to impeach Donald Trump for nothing would say that this is an overstep. This is an overreach of power. You can't do this. This undermines democracy, and she is totally correct. Even insane people sometimes can see the light, can use some logic into their thought process and think, hey, what's wrong here? It's not going to help anything. You don't go after somebody to get rid of them like that. Not like this. But let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all this. Do you think that Trump being taken off the ballot like this is going to stand? Or do you think that, of course, he's going to be put back on the ballot? That's what I think. I think this is all BS. I don't think they have any legal standing to actually take Donald Trump off the ballot. You know, for one, he hasn't even been indicted for insurrection. There's tons of video evidence.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time.
But that's just not how you go about beating an opponent in an election. But we all know the tactics that these people use.
And it's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
And that's all I got for this one, folks. I want to thank everybody for watching. And don't forget, hit that like button for me. And y'all be positive. Peace.